What we have here is a rail set. It's a full auto rail set for the M60. We have them off the gun here, out of a channel, and we want to take a closer look at them just to kind of get an idea of what we're looking at here. This particular set is a Saco Defense set. When we talk about these rail sets, there's three pieces that complete the set. You have your right rail, you have your bottom rail, and you have your left rail. If we look at these rails, and this is the right, as if you're standing behind the gun, it doesn't look so distinct looking at it stripped here, but if we know what we're looking for, we can see here we have the that's the ejection port there. These three holes right here, which most people don't know what they are. This is actually a case deflector here. Make sure the camera's getting that there. Those three holes are a case deflector. As the bolt pulls the round out of here, it spins it backwards, and the mouth of the case hits this, bounces off the rail, and goes flying. We have our bottom rail piece. Just look at that, and this is a used set of rails here. And then we have our left rail here. Now, one of the things, let's say this. First and foremost, if you're building a post-sample machine gun, don't go cheap on your rails, okay? It's so important that you buy mil-spec stuff. Saco Defense, Rock Island Armory rails are great rails. Anything coming out of Desert Ordnance, which I don't believe they sell rails alone, but their stuff is all mil-spec, made on Saco Defense tooling. Just invest, spend more. Don't get a cheap set of rails that someone made in their shop, because we see it time and time again. Guys building post samples, they use a set of rails that are out of spec, even in the slightest, and they end up never running. While we're talking about Rock Island rails and Saco Defense rails, the only difference is in the left rail here. You can see this is skeletonized, and by skeletonized I mean these slots here are milled out, and when this is actually on a gun, the channel covers this, but there's two holes in the channel for your ammo hanger, and on a Rock Island those holes are covered up because these slots aren't milled in. So that's the difference on the Saco Defense gun. You can see on the front of these, again, I don't have the necessary parts to build all this. I just have a set of rails and a trunnion here. But I guess first and foremost here, we'll cue in some pictures of some Rock Island Armory rails so I can show you what I'm talking about as far as the difference goes. Alright, so you can see the only difference, as we mentioned, is that these slots are milled out in the left rail. The channel, the bridge, and the T&E plate is what holds this entire back half together. The bridge rivets into the top on the back, the T&E plate on the bottom of the channel, and then these go into the channel, as we said. Prior to assembling any of this, you want to put your back half together first. It's just easier that way to have that all riveted together. It's more out in the open. It's just easier to work on that way. Now, when we talk about when the time comes to put your back half and rivet it into your trunnion. We have a Saco Defense trunnion here. There's 5 rivets that hold this together. There's 2 long rivets that go through. There's a small rivet on the left side, small rivet on the right side, small rivet on the bottom. We'll see if we can get that in the camera there. You can see where the long rivets go through that bolt, that feed ramp there, and how the top, it's just 2 short rivets. I'm going to cue in some pictures right now of a mil-spec M60 rivet set for reference. So as you can see, there's not much to those rivets, but you know, it's always important to try to use mil-spec stuff. Those mil-spec rivets are hardened and heat treated properly. This gun takes a lot of abuse. It's a vicious cycle. It's a big 308 round, and we want to make sure it's built correctly in all aspects. Before we move forward with anything else, for those of you that are out there building semis, just be aware that the rails on a semi gun are thicker and different than those on a full auto gun. The bottom of the channel's, you know, sealed so you can't get a sear through, and these left and right rails are just a little thicker, so you can't get a full auto op rod, and the bottom of the op rod is milled off on a semi-auto. We won't get too much into that, but they are different. So if you're building a semi, don't think you can buy a set of full auto rails and use it. Alright, so again, we have a Saco Defense trunnion here. It's important for you to get an in-spec nice trunnion as well. And why is that? Because once we have this back half assembled, it can be very difficult to get this mated properly with the trunnion. You shouldn't have to press that in there. You shouldn't have to beat it in with a hammer. These rails, if properly made and in spec, should slide right into the back of this this trunnion. We'll show you how that is right there. We have our left rail here, and we have our trunnion. And pushed right in there. You can see it's in properly. You can see the nice, perfectly tight mated surface with that feed ramp, and then the rivets would go through the rails, ramp, and out the other side to be set. Again, it comes out just as easy as it goes in, and that's how you know you're working with really nice, good in-spec stuff. It all just smoothly goes together. It's not loose, it's tight, it's precision. So again, I realize all this stuff is expensive and people have to build on budgets, but as far as rail sets goes, make sure you get yourself a nice set of straight rails. So that's it. That's just a quick look at a rail set that is not in a gun.